Finally, King Charles strikes back with undeniable proof of Archie and Lilibet's true identity. The evidence is here shattering Meghan and Harry's claims once and for all. Could this be the biggest counterattack in the royal feud? Let's dive in and find out in this video. What do you think about the latest royal drama? Do you believe Meghan's claims about Archie and Lilibet? If you do, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. Stick around to watch the video and uncover the shocking truth King Charles just revealed, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support the channel. If the bloodline of the British monarchy is called into question tonight behind the closed doors of Kensington Palace, a DNA revelation has surfaced showing that Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana share no genetic connection to the Windsor family, not even to Prince Harry himself. This disclosure threatens to shatter decades of royal tradition, casting doubt on their claims to royal titles and succession rights. It is a shock not only to the royal family, but also to the public at large. It all began with silence. A single document bearing the Kensington Palace seal was quietly leaked to a trusted royal journalist without fanfare, no press conference, and no comment from the palace. Only 5 words were scrawled at the margin, with a chilling conclusion: "No Windsor blood detected." This sparked a heated debate over the legitimacy of royal claims, sending everyone into a search for a truth that had long been concealed. For years, rumors had circulated in the shadows. Whispers slowly morphed into tabloid fodder. Conspiracies appeared on forums and were shared across social media feeds. But this was different. This was evidence. Cold, clinical proof that threatened to unravel the very foundation of the royal lineage. From the moment Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced the birth of their son Archie Harrison Mountbatten, the public had noticed the strange absence of the usual royal rituals. There were no steps in the hospital, no medical details, no official doctor reports, and most importantly, no actual living baby. In the critical weeks that followed, similar uncertainties arose when their daughter Lilibet Diana was born. Fans were provided with carefully arranged photos, backlit images, and a Netflix documentary, but there was never full transparency. At first, only a small portion of the observant community voiced doubts, but now it has been confirmed as an undeniable truth. Archie and Lilibet truly have no biological connection to the Windsor family. This revelation is not just about biology. It touches on succession, national identity, and the sanctity of truth in a monarchy that has endured through wars, scandals, and assassinations. When Meghan Markle and Prince Harry stepped down from their royal duties, the royal family continued to publicly mention their children using respectful titles without legal genetic basis. In response, Kensington Palace took a step to push back. DNA reports were never intended for public disclosure. They were merely part of an internal audit regarding the official line of succession, a matter that has become increasingly delicate as King Charles's reign faces growing pressure. The report was handled by forensic experts working under the Royal Protocol Office, an elite internal team tasked with managing the most stringent legal compliance issues of the monarchy. What they found left no room for interpretation. Samples from both children showed no chromosomal link to Prince Harry or any member of the Windsor family, living or deceased. This means that genetically, Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana are not Windsor and are not eligible to inherit the royal throne. They are even ineligible to bear the Windsor surname. This is a bombshell that changes everything, not just for the Sussexes, but for the entire British monarchy. The palace is said to have prepared appropriate actions to handle the situation, but before we decode the silent fury behind Kensington's counterattack, we need to go back to where it all began. The subtle evasions, the hospital mysteries, and the contradictions when looking back will tell a different story. A story very different from what the public has been sold. Archie Harrison, the son of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, was born as the first mixed-race child in the modern royal family. It was an iconic event, but the usual procedures were quietly overlooked. While Kate Middleton beamed with every child outside the hospital, Meghan opted for complete privacy. No doctors were named, no nurses were interviewed, and no footage was leaked. A simple palace announcement reported that Meghan had gone into labor, and a few hours later, news broke that Archie had been born. Even veteran royal reporters admitted that something was amiss. It was unclear whether the birth took place at the hospital or at the couple's private residence. The announcement of Meghan's labor came only after the baby had been born, which initially seemed like a modern parenting choice on Meghan's part. However, now with the DNA revelations, the situation appears to have been orchestrated far more deliberately. The birth of Lilibet Diana was no different. There was no official hospital, no medical staff on record, and the birth announcement in California lacked any public certification. Once again, privacy was cited to explain this deviation. However, in a royal family where public duty begins the moment a child is born, this discrepancy was not only an act of defiance, but also highly suspicious. The British public has long been divided over the Sussexes' departure from royal life. Some see it as a reasonable escape from the intense scrutiny of the monarchy, while others view it as a money-making scheme, a way to capitalize on the royal brand without taking on any responsibility. However, after these revelations, the stakes have risen significantly. It's no longer just about lifestyle choices or media coverage. It now concerns the integrity of the monarchy itself. Kensington Palace is believed to have decided to publicly reveal the DNA test results not out of a desire for revenge, but because it is a constitutional necessity. DNA verification is now not only about biological truth, but also concerns succession rights, royal assets, and the future influence of the monarchy. Those supporting the palace urge King Charles and Prince William to act swiftly to protect the historical and future bloodline of the royal family. Meghan Markle is said to have been notified before the news reached royal reporters. Her reaction was reportedly one of anger and hostility. She threatened legal action while Prince Harry, according to sources, was emotionally shocked and unusually silent. Since the DNA leak began, Prince Harry has made no public statements. These events are raising significant questions about the future of the British monarchy. Will titles be revoked? Will Parliament intervene to pass laws formalizing succession rules based on DNA verification? And will Harry and Meghan be forced to publicly withdraw their children's claims to royal status? All of these remain unanswered, awaiting a response from the royal family. The British monarchy has faced numerous scandals in the past, from affairs and financial corruption to abdications. However, they have never before encountered a scandal that questions the legitimacy of their bloodline and the future of the monarchy. And if what palace sources are saying is true, Kensington Palace is far from done. This is just the beginning of a larger effort to expose what one royal insider has called the greatest deception ever carried out within the royal walls. The British monarchy has long been built on a solid foundation royal bloodline. Unlike a presidency elected by votes or a political office power in the British monarchy, is tied to lineage where ancestry serves as the guarantee of legitimacy. Every monarch sitting on the throne must have royal blood, which is why any doubts regarding the biological connection of a royal heir are no small matter. This is a genuine constitutional crisis, not just a family scandal. To understand the significance of this DNA revelation, we must look back at the history of the monarchy. When William the Conqueror seized the English throne in 1066, he said a precedent succession had to be justified either through conquest or legitimate inheritance. Today, in a modern democratic society, royal succession remains protected as the sole reason for the monarchy's existence. That is why bloodline, rather than qualities like virtue or leadership skills, is the most crucial factor in maintaining the British crown. The British royal family has a long lineage, nearly a millennium old, carefully documented and verified by experts and historians. Every child born into the royal family is not only honored emotionally, but also recorded verified and has a clear birth date with witnesses. Everything must be transparent, indisputable. Ownership, responsibilities, and roles within the royal family all depend on the assumption that an heir must truly be who they claim to be. Therefore, the lack of transparency surrounding the births of children like Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana has raised serious concerns within the palace. While the public may debate whether Meghan was too private, legal advisors are becoming increasingly worried. This is an unprecedented situation in recent history where royal family members have failed to provide any official documentation regarding their children's birth dates. Throughout history, royal marriages have not been solely about love. They have been power alliances designed to strengthen and protect the royal bloodline. Even in modern times, the marriage of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, although seen as a love story, was in fact a union between distant relatives sharing the royal bloodline. This was considered essential to maintain the integrity of the royal lineage. This explains why the British royal family has resisted reforms to the structure of succession. While many constitutional monarchies in Europe have made changes in the UK royal bloodline, remains the unchangeable factor in the system of succession. The British monarchy may be a ceremonial institution, but it is also deeply rooted in legality and symbolism. To ensure the monarchy's survival, biological legitimacy must always be protected absolutely. When the confirmation of biological heritage is in doubt, the entire monarchy stands on unstable ground. The revelation that Archie and Lilibet do not share DNA with the Windsor lineage creates a serious challenge not only for the Sussex family, but also for the constitutional system of the United Kingdom. Their names have appeared in the official line of succession for years, and while they were not granted the HRH titles at birth, it was still assumed they could inherit them under King Charles's reign. The line of succession is not only symbolic, but also governs decisions in times of crisis. For instance, if all direct heirs were to perish in a catastrophic event, the line of succession would determine who would be the next leader of the monarchy. Therefore, clarity in the order of succession is essential. Fabrications or claims without proper documentation cannot be allowed to obscure this transparency. For Meghan and Harry, introducing children with no biological link to the royal family into the line of succession is not only ethically dubious, but also a potential constitutional deception. Some royal scholars have pointed out that this situation bears similarities to past scandals regarding the legitimacy of the royal family. For instance, in the 15th century, Princes Edward V and Richard were rumored to have been murdered by their uncle Richard III, partly due to doubts surrounding their legitimacy. More recently, in the 20th century, there were rumors about the paternity of Prince Albert Victor, Duke of Clarence. However, never before in modern times has the monarchy faced a scenario where children presented as heirs could have no actual biological connection to the royal lineage. A former royal historian stated that the palace was aware of the contradictions surrounding Meghan's pregnancy, but hesitated to take action due to fears of political backlash, accusations of racism, or allegations of bullying. This delay, this silence, allowed the situation to spiral out of control. And now the monarchy faces an issue that has never been publicly challenged before until scientific truths had to be brought into the light. Royal blood is not only important because it determines succession, but also because it binds the crown to the people of Britain. When the nation accepts a monarch, they do so on the basis that the individual is the living embodiment of the nation's heritage. If the monarch's heirs are not truly their own, the public may feel deceived when swearing loyalty to an illusion. This not only damages the royal family's reputation, but also disrupts the trust and bond between the ruler and the people. In some royalist circles, the current debate is not only about Meghan's actions, but also about the failure of the system to detect and prevent this deception. The questions now are no longer hypothetical, but urgent matters. Should DNA testing be mandatory for future royal heirs? These questions, which could have previously been mere assumptions, have now become real issues that need to be addressed. The British public funds the royal family partly through the sovereign grant from the Crown Estate. This funding covers expenses such as security, housing, travel, and education for senior members of the royal family. In the past, this support was extended to the Sussexes and their children. If those children never had biological rights to a royal title, the potential misuse of financial resources could soon become an issue that needs to be addressed. Seriously, what do you all think about British taxpayers funding the royal family, including the Sussexes, through the sovereign grant? If Archie and Lilibet have no biological claim to royal titles, could this mean there's been a misuse of funds? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this is an issue that needs to be addressed ASAP? Don't forget to hit that like button and share this video if you want more deep dives into royal drama. Keep watching for even more shocking details. The confirmation that Archie and Lilibet do not share DNA with the Windsor lineage has not only caused a public relations shock, but also opened the door to a legal and political backlash that could lead to the revocation of titles, the revision of succession orders, and even a demand for the Sussexes to publicly amend their records. There is an increasing consensus among constitutional experts that Parliament may need to intervene and pass a law requiring DNA verification for heirs in the line of succession. If enacted, this law would mark the first time in modern British history that scientific evidence would be required in royal succession rituals. However, the most notable aspect is not the legal or political ramifications, but rather the public perception. The monarchy exists through the trust of the people. Its power can only be sustained when the public believes in its legitimacy. When this trust is damaged, when titles can be exploited and truths concealed, the entire institution stands on the brink of irrelevance. If Kensington does not act, if it allows these wrongdoings to take root permanently, the consequences may become irreversible. The royal bloodline is not important due to superstition or tradition, but because it is the only factor that distinguishes the monarchy from a mere spectacle. It is what gives weight to the crown, meaning to the lineage and structure, to a nation still deeply connected to its symbolic heritage. The truth has emerged, and now it's time for action. What happens next? How Parliament, the palace, and the people respond will determine whether the monarchy will rise stronger or dissolve more than ever before. From the outside, Harry and Meghan's story appears to be a modern royal fairy tale. A young prince, long considered the backup, finds love across the Atlantic with an American actress. She brings diversity and contemporary allure to the royal family. However, beneath the glitz of the public narrative, a darker undercurrent begins to emerge. The omissions, the imperfections, and the incongruent moments start to reveal themselves. The story is being tightly spun by the media, but those with a keen eye will notice the unsettling signs. The first seeds of doubt regarding the birth of Archie Harrison were sown on the day he was born, or rather the day the announcement was made. On May 6, 2019, the palace announced that Meghan Markle had gone into labor. However, just a few hours later, another announcement revealed that the baby had been born early that morning. The discrepancy between the two statements drew attention. Why announce labor without immediately sharing news of the birth, an event typically made public as soon as possible? This raised questions about why the royal birth information was delayed, a moment that should have been disclosed right away. Traditionally, the birth of a royal child would follow a strict protocol. At least one certified royal doctor with a clear identity would sign off on the birth, with a group of witnesses present. In the past, royal family members gave birth in public hospitals where cameras were always ready and press releases were almost issued in real time. However, with Archie, things were different. No specific hospital was named, no birth certificate was issued immediately, and no doctor was made public. Yet this was justified by the Sussexes' claim of privacy, something many accepted. However, privacy within the royal family is rarely absolute, especially when it comes to the birth of a royal heir. The story of Eve and Maximilian Cooper is living proof that love isn't confined by race or cultural background, but is built on a deep connection between souls and genuine communication. They show that when two people embrace their differences and grow together, love becomes a powerful force that unites and uplifts them, creating a meaningful shared journey filled with purpose and fulfillment. Meghan completely refused to publicly share the key moments of her childbirth. Instead, a carefully staged photo was released a few days later, not at the hospital, but in a controlled setting at Windsor Castle. In the photo, Meghan and Harry stand smiling next to their newborn, tightly swaddled in a blanket with most of the baby's face covered. What stood out was that it was not the mother or father holding the child, but Prince Harry. Meghan barely touched the baby. This moment quickly raised questions. Why was the baby so tightly wrapped if it had been born days earlier? Why wasn't the mother holding her child? Where were the signs of post-birth exhaustion or recovery? Critics were quickly dismissed as conspiracy theorists, but from certain corners of the media and the royal organization, these concerns had practical merit. As the months passed, the public began to notice other oddities. Meghan and Harry occasionally appeared in public with their children, but these moments were rare and often arranged in peculiar ways. The photos showed the baby being held at strange angles or fully covered with hats and blankets, even during summer outings. One appearance at a polo match left Meghan awkwardly posed with her posture stiff and her arms seemingly unfamiliar with the weight of the child. The press attributed this to clumsy parenting, but others suspected something was amiss. Online communities began to meticulously analyze every image and video of the Sussex family. They noticed inconsistencies in the shape of the baby's head from one photo to another, or discrepancies in hair color and ear shape. One particular comparison showed Archie in two photos, one with lighter skin and straight hair, while the other had darker skin and curly hair. Critics suggested this could be due to lighting or natural development, but others suspected something deeper was being hidden. Speculation continued to grow, with reports suggesting that Meghan had used a prosthetic bump at certain stages of her pregnancy. Some videos circulated where her belly appeared to fold unnaturally when she sat down. This sparked a wave of online discussion. Was it simply the result of wearing soft maternity clothes? Or was it evidence that she had never been pregnant? The palace declined to comment and dismissed the theories as absurd, but this silence only fueled the questions, making them grow louder. In June 2021, when Harry and Meghan had completely stepped away from official royal duties and were living in California, the announcement of Lilibet Diana's birth was even more vague than Archie's. No hospital was named, no birth time was provided, and no certificates were publicly released. The couple issued a brief statement confirming the name and birth date, mentioning that both mother and child were healthy. But once again, the official images of the newborn were missing. No authentic photos of Lilibet were shared in the following weeks. As months passed, the Sussex family released a holiday card at the end of 2021, featuring what they claimed was the first image of Lilibet. However, upon zooming in, inconsistencies were pointed out. The child appeared unusually still, and her features seemed digitally altered. A digital forensics expert claimed that the photo might have been heavily edited or even generated by AI. Although this has never been definitively proven, the public's suspicion was unmistakable. A consistent theme emerged. Meghan and Harry had carefully crafted a visual narrative of their family without providing enough concrete evidence. Unprotected, spontaneous moments have proven that these children are not truly integrated into royal life. While other prominent public events such as trooping the color official family photos and royal activities from a young age have seen the participation of William and Kate's children, Archie and Lilibet, have been oddly absent. Even during Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee, when many expected Meghan and Harry to present their family to the public, the children remained hidden. Only vague statements were issued and no images or public videos were shared. An opportunity that was expected to clarify all the speculation was the Netflix documentary series where Meghan and Harry could share real and intimate family moments. However, viewers were met with a meticulously staged production featuring distant shots, blurred backgrounds, and voices without faces. In one scene, Archie can be heard speaking, but his face is never shown. Lilibet appears only fleetingly, with her face partially turned or lit from behind. There were no real-life shots of moments like diaper changes, playtime, or bath time. These moments could have been an opportunity to convince the public that this was a thriving royal family, yet they lacked transparency. While the public has not received transparency, a growing concern within the royal household has begun to emerge. According to multiple sources, staff at Kensington Palace were quietly instructed to create a timeline of events related to both children, including private travel records, medical reports, and correspondence from staff with the Sussexes. The purpose was not to validate conspiracy theories, but rather to prepare for any potential legal or constitutional actions that might arise. A significant shift occurred in early 2024 when an anonymous whistleblower believed to be a former medical advisor to the Sussex family provided documents and testimony. These documents claimed that no official births took place under medical supervision for either child in California or the UK. Additionally, it was reported that a high-level confidentiality agreement had been signed with a surrogate who had been in hiding since 2019. While her identity and role were carefully concealed, details about her began to emerge through palace sources. According to the revelations, Meghan did not carry Archie, and perhaps not Lilibet either. As the story of the Sussex children's births grew more obscure, the palace took discreet action. A forensic genetics company was hired to collect samples from Archie and Lilibet and test them against known genetic material from the Windsor bloodline. The results confirmed that there was no connection to the royal family. Although the public remains unaware of how these samples were collected, the silence surrounding the matter has only fueled further suspicion. The issue became clearer from the very first moments when Archie and Lilibet were introduced to the world. From the outset, something felt off, and now we know what it was. The secret DNA testing has unraveled the truth, but it was carried out in silence with no official announcement or public investigation. Only a quiet directive was issued from Kensington Palace to answer the question that the monarchy had been grappling with for years: are Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana truly part of the royal bloodline? Requiring a DNA test is not just a simple legal action, it is a statement of doubt and a breakdown of trust. In the royal world, asking for a DNA test signals that something is deeply wrong. It shows that trust has been shattered to the point where only cold scientific evidence can restore it. The push for DNA testing was not an abrupt reaction, but a slow and cautious process carried out after years of observation and careful consideration. Senior officials within the royal family had noticed abnormalities surrounding the births of Archie and Lilibet, including the lack of transparency in documentation, inconsistencies in the released photos, their absence from public events, and most importantly, the strategic delays in legal registration. Despite these growing concerns, no official action was taken for a long time. The Queen, in her final years, likely wished to maintain peace within the family, while Prince of Wales Charles did not want to further disrupt the situation amid the nation's recovery from the pandemic and the impacts of Brexit. However, after years of silence, the situation could no longer be ignored. In early 2024, pressure from both inside and outside the royal family became impossible to dismiss. The whisper network within Westminster had turned into a roar as members of Parliament began questioning royal spending and the legitimacy of succession rights. A small faction threatened to introduce a bill requiring DNA verification for royal heirs, particularly for those born or residing outside the United Kingdom. At the same time, rumors about the use of surrogacy agreements began to spread more widely. It was at this point that Kensington Palace finally acted, pushing for DNA testing, not from the king, but from the Office of the Lord Chamberlain in cooperation with the Royal Heritage and Protocol Oversight Council. The Royal Heritage and Protocol Oversight Council, although not widely known to the public, is a group of constitutional experts and historians tasked with protecting the legitimacy of the royal lineage. Their authority is not limited to ceremonial duties, but extends to enforcing constitutional regulations. When they issue directives, they are legally binding within the royal family's structure. The testing process was not carried out in public laboratories or through typical government channels. Instead, it was conducted secretly through a research team collaborating with a private genetic research company based in Switzerland, specializing in father-child relationship analysis for high-profile clients. The most shocking aspect of the entire story is the manner in which the samples were obtained. One source claims that the first sample was taken from a discarded toothbrush allegedly belonging to Archie at a private estate in Montecito, California. Although the exact method of obtaining the toothbrush remains unclear, there is speculation about whether an insider cooperated or if a private investigator was hired to carry out the task. The second sample for Lilibet is said to have come from a strand of hair taken from a donated outfit that was sent to a charity auction in the United States. After the samples were compared to secure genetic data from the Windsor bloodline, the results showed no matching genes, notably the absence of the mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosome markers that could be traced through the male lineage of the Windsor family. The test results concluded that there was no genetic connection between Archie Lilibet and the Windsor family. This not only caused a public uproar, but also had far-reaching legal and constitutional consequences, raising questions about succession rights and the future of the monarchy. These events not only damaged the royal family's reputation, but also sparked debates about the legitimacy of inheritance rights and what truly transpired during the births of the Sussex children. The report ended with a sentence that has since been repeated in whispered conversations across the halls of power. No biological relationship with any living member of the royal family can be established. Those who read the report were said to have been stunned, with some even crying, while others sat in silence for several minutes. Several senior advisors to Prince William, including those with close relationships, are believed to have walked out of the room in frustration. These findings not only caused devastation, but also carried profound implications. This was not merely a matter of parental confusion or missing paperwork, but a betrayal of the institution itself. Royal children are not just family members. They are future heads of state with rights to protection, recognition, and roles in ceremonial duties. Inheritance of wealth and historical financial privileges of immense value. The revelation that the two individuals publicly introduced as royal heirs have no biological connection to the Windsor bloodline sent shockwaves through both the royal family and the nation. Once the test results were confirmed, a series of critical decisions had to be made. What would happen with this information, who would be notified, and how far would the consequences reach? The first to be informed was King Charles, who received the report in a private meeting at Clarence House. According to an assistant present, the king read the report slowly and asked only one question: "Are we absolutely certain about this result?" Afterward, Prince William, the heir to the throne, was also informed. His concerns were not only legal, but also how to handle the situation publicly to protect the integrity of the succession. According to sources, William was not angry with the children, but with what he believed was the deception carried out by Harry and Meghan. William's first concern was to ensure that Archie and Lilibet would no longer be recognized in the line of succession. His second concern was the public handling of the announcement, figuring out how to disclose this news without plunging the monarchy into a public scandal. A week later, the information was shared with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and a small group of constitutional lawyers in the Cabinet Office to begin drafting a legal framework that would allow for the official removal of titles in Parliament without disrupting the royal family. However, the plan faltered. A second leak, this time from an international journalist with connections to the Swiss medical laboratories, threatened to expose the entire affair. Fearing the loss of control, the palace decided to release a carefully worded internal memorandum to confirm that an internal review of the lineage records had led to clarifications regarding succession protocol. However, this statement does not directly address Meghan's or the children's DNA, but the implication is unmistakable to those who have been following closely. Now, the question is no longer whether Archie and Lilibet are royal, as that issue has been resolved by science. The big question now is, what happens next? Will Parliament demand full disclosure? Will Harry and Meghan be forced to respond publicly? Can the palace survive this level of controversy without constitutional reform? Kensington remains firm. No public retaliation, no public accusations, only a strong, quiet assertion. The truth is known and action will be taken. In the history of royal scandals, from abdications to affairs, this case may be the most serious because this time it's not just about love, loyalty, or legacy, it's about bloodline, the very thing that decides who wears the crown. Although this story has been whispered in the shadows of high society, speculated and passed along through royal reporters' conversations and obscure online forums, only recently has the truth about this issue begun to come to light. The rumor that Meghan Markle may have used a surrogate to give birth to Archie Harrison and possibly Lilibet Diana was initially dismissed as an outrageous and baseless claim, often dismissed as prejudice. However, behind the palace walls, where optics once took a back seat to order, those whispers began to turn into frantic, urgent questions. Now, with the DNA test results shaking the very foundation of the monarchy pieces that once seemed disconnected, the odd photos taken at strange moments, a mysteriously lost medical trace, the secrecy surrounding the birth dates suddenly start to form a chillingly coherent picture. And at the center of that picture is a woman known to only a select few whose silence has been ensured by a tightly bound legal contract. The woman known as JG is the one who carried Archie Harrison to full term. Her story began as a secret medical arrangement between specialists, but has since evolved into one of the most shocking royal revelations in modern history. According to exclusive documents reviewed by senior officials at Kensington Palace, JG was approached in 2018 through a private agency in the United States that specializes in surrogacy arrangements for celebrities. These agencies operate with the utmost discretion, often employing former intelligence officers as coordinators with the goal of protecting the identities of all parties involved at all costs. JG is a healthy woman in her early 30s, with no history of childbirth complications. She was selected based on specific genetic and physical criteria. The documents she signed included a 20-year non-disclosure agreement (NDA) with criminal penalties for any violations. Reports suggest that the payment for her participation exceeded $750,000, divided into quarterly installments and transferred through foreign accounts linked to charitable funds associated with non-profit organizations connected to the Sussexes. However, it wasn't just the financial scope of the arrangement that shocked investigators, but also the meticulous orchestration of everything surrounding it. At first, JG was not allowed to know the exact identity of the intended parents. All she was told was that the embryo was provided by extremely famous individuals who required exceptional privacy. A legal intermediary, a lawyer who had worked in both California and London, was designated as the official point of contact between the parties. JG only learned the truth about the parents' identity when a private nurse accidentally referred to the child of His Royal Highness in a clinic. From that point, JG claimed she was placed under a witness protection-like regime. She was moved from her home in Arizona to a private estate in Utah, where a medical team monitored her around the clock. All of her communications were screened and tracked. JG claims that she never met Meghan Markle or Prince Harry in person until the final month of the pregnancy. And even then, their meeting was brief, formal, and meticulously staged. Meghan is said to have worn oversized sunglasses and a thick coat indoors, refusing to engage in personal conversations. As her due date approached, JG was transferred to a luxurious birthing suite in Los Angeles, where the clinic closed to the public on the day of the birth. A fake name was used on all hospital forms, and according to her testimony, Meghan and Harry were not present during the birth itself, only arriving several hours later. The story surrounding the surrogate pregnancy and the events surrounding the births of Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana continues to spark doubt and curiosity within the community. JG, the surrogate for Archie, has faced a tightly controlled life, including isolation, signing confidentiality agreements, and receiving large payments to maintain silence. However, when documents related to the surrogacy were leaked, and information regarding Archie's biological origins was questioned, tension within the royal family and the public began to escalate. Information about financial agreements, confidentiality contracts, and the strict measures taken to maintain privacy have raised significant questions about the legality and honesty in managing events related to the royal family. The story of JG and the emergence of documents verifying the surrogacy point to a scenario that many have long suspected that Archie might not be the biological child of Meghan Markle and Harry, which could severely violate legal regulations regarding royal lineage and impersonation. The shift in how the media and royal commentators have responded has led the public to question even more. Details about surveillance, the absence of genuine family moments, and the editing of birth-related documents have sparked a wave of outrage and calls for the truth. However, every attempt to clarify the situation has been shrouded in darkness and silence, only heightening concerns about transparency on crucial matters, such as royal lineage and succession. This has also sparked a wave of doubt within the royal circles as former aides and palace staff have begun to publicly share their views on the strange way the Sussex children have been treated. The meticulously staged photos, silence surrounding personal issues, and the absence of genuine family moments have raised unanswered questions in the eyes of the public. The surrogacy document leak, although not fully revealing all the details, has been enough to shed light on long-standing doubts about the authenticity of Archie and Lilibet being the biological children of Meghan and Harry. While this story has yet to be officially acknowledged, and the signs of a shift in handling the matter remain unclear, the truth that the public and the palace are now facing could permanently alter the way the royal family is perceived and managed in the future. The revelation that Meghan Markle is not the biological mother of Archie and Lilibet has caused a major shock to her public image. The theories surrounding the use of surrogacy are no longer dismissed, but have become a serious issue with potential legal consequences. This not only threatens Meghan's position within the royal family, but also raises important questions about inheritance rights and criminal responsibility in the registration and verification of royal lineage. With the public events surrounding Archie and Lilibet, the scrutiny from the public and media has created a picture filled with doubt. The images from official ceremonies and the children's appearances have attracted attention not only because of the strict control exerted by the royal family, but also due to the unusual movements and actions of the children. Questions about the authenticity of these children have begun to surface, raising concerns about whether they are truly the biological children of Meghan and Harry. The doll theory. A concept introduced to explain the oddities in public events suggests that Meghan and Harry may have used reborn dolls to substitute for their children in photo shoots and events. The photos and videos capturing rare moments of Archie and Lilibet have sparked significant skepticism, especially when these children do not exhibit the natural movements and reactions typically seen in other infants. The photos and videos of Archie, particularly in public settings, have prompted pediatric behavior experts to question the naturalness of his movements. Doctors have pointed out that Archie's movements in these images appear abnormal, which has raised doubts about the authenticity of the public events involving Meghan and Harry's children. Since Lilibet Diana's introduction, the absence of clear images and the oddities in the photos have sparked the theory that Meghan and Harry may have used reborn dolls or digital effects. Royal photographers and experts have begun to question the authenticity of these children, suggesting that they might be mere staged images or replaced with unrealistic means. The abnormalities in how the Sussex children have been handled and their appearances have led many to begin doubting their authenticity. Former staff, including nannies and service personnel, have revealed that they were not allowed to interact with the children freely and were always given strict instructions on how to approach them. Footage from the Sussex's Netflix documentaries has also done little to validate the story about the children, only increasing skepticism. The use of dolls or child stand-ins not only raises ethical questions, but also creates concerns about the psychological impact on the Sussex family. Some believe that this method could be a way to protect the family's privacy from media intrusion, while skeptics view it as a serious deception, especially when issues like royal titles and succession are brought into the debate. The development of digital imaging technology and artificial intelligence has blurred the lines between reality and illusion. AI tools can easily mask imperfections and hide inconsistencies in images of the children, making it more difficult to verify their authenticity. These technologies have created hyper-realistic images that could lead viewers to believe the children are real when in fact they may be products of digital manipulation. The ambiguity surrounding the public presentation of the Sussex children, combined with the reborn doll theory, continues to stir public opinion. Questionable images, such as the one of Archie with a clear seam on his wrist, have heightened suspicions about the use of dolls or digital effects. The Sussex's denial has failed to calm the undercurrent of doubt from both the public and the palace, making the debate over royal lineage and the authenticity of the royal children even more intense. The discoveries regarding the use of dolls and DNA testing, combined with anomalies in the birth documents, have created a larger mosaic of secrecy surrounding the Sussex family. This ambiguity not only raises questions about the Sussex children, but also brings up significant issues about the evolution of the monarchy in the 21st century, where image media and controlled narratives are becoming increasingly pivotal. While the Sussexes build a strong personal brand and media empire, their strategy has become increasingly clear with their collaboration with Netflix. However, despite having control over their own narrative, the Sussexes are paying a price for this protection. The story is being crafted through documentaries and television shows where the family keeps secrets about their children and constructs a royal family image that aligns with their personal aspirations. This not only fuels doubts about authenticity, but also raises questions about public deception. The Sussexes' resistance to publicly sharing images of their children has become a cornerstone of their brand-building strategy. The television series Heart of the Family, released at the end of 2022, revealed aspects of their family life, but deliberately avoided providing clear visual images of their children. This indicates that the Sussexes continue to tightly control their family narrative while protecting their children from public scrutiny, even if the cost is concealing the true images. The strict protocols around filming and showcasing the children have intensified doubts about the authenticity of the Sussex family's images. The use of stand-in shadows and post-production techniques has created a carefully edited reality, blurring the lines between truth and fiction. This control further strengthens the reborn doll theory as the couple constructs a perfect modern royal family image while keeping personal life details tightly concealed. The Sussex family's collaboration with Netflix is not just a brand-building strategy, but also part of a long-term plan to maintain their global presence and influence. Family-focused programs, including those aimed at children, play a crucial role in reinforcing the Sussex family's legacy. However, this raises questions about the truth behind the presented image and whether the couple is exploiting the public to sustain the value of their brand. Although the Sussexes have creative control over their projects, internal tensions within Netflix have begun to arise, particularly concerning concerns about transparency in how children are portrayed. Debates about the inconsistencies in the Sussex family story have sparked fears that if this brand is exposed as a constructed facade, it could have serious consequences for the reputation and public acceptance of this modern royal family. Although Meghan publicly emphasizes her role as a loving and devoted mother, the public images and content from Netflix do not reflect this. These media products seem to create a contradiction between public statements and reality, as the story about their family and children becomes increasingly difficult to control, leading to doubts about the authenticity of the image the Sussexes are constructing. The Sussexes' battle to protect their privacy has strained their relationship with the public. Polls show a decline in empathy towards them, particularly among traditional royal supporters. The modern royal family image that the Sussexes have built seems no longer to be recognized as authentic, but rather as a commercial enterprise. This not only weakens public trust, but also affects the family's credibility in the eyes of the next royal generations. For Kensington Palace, the Sussexes' brand building through Netflix presents an opportunity to separate their image from the official royal family. However, this is also a double-edged sword, as it could lead to a decline in credibility and complicate the relationship between the Sussexes and the traditional royal family. The question of the authenticity of this brand is being increasingly raised by the public and the media. The Sussex family's use of media platforms to build their brand has made them increasingly resemble an entertainment family rather than members of the monarchy. The ongoing controversies surrounding the truth about their children, including revelations about DNA and surrogacy, have led the public and media to continuously question them. This puts the Sussex family in a difficult position as they face strong criticism for turning their personal story into a media product. The crisis caused by the Sussexes is not only related to revelations about their lineage, but also threatens to pull the entire monarchy into a media storm. The palace has expressed frustration that the Sussex family has turned their media platform into a tool to protect an increasingly complex story. Allegations of fabrication and deception not only undermine public trust in the Sussexes, but also raise questions about transparency in managing the royal family's image. With media agreements like Netflix, the UK Parliament will face lively debates about their impact on the monarchy. Lawmakers have differing views on the control of royal titles and commercial media. Some advocate for maintaining transparency in the use of royal imagery, while others argue that the monarchy needs to be adapted to align with modern media platforms. Netflix and the Sussexes' media empire are not only part of their personal strategy, but also at the heart of the royal crisis. The blend of old-world lineage and modern celebrity science creates a captivating story, but one that is not without controversy. The power of storytelling and the Sussex family's public display can create the illusion of a perfect family, but it also puts the monarchy in a difficult position when it comes to maintaining trust and transparency with the public. Wow! What a bombshell revelation from King Charles. The truth about Archie and Lilibet's identity has finally come to light, shaking up everything we thought we knew. What do you think about this royal drama? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get this discussion going. Don't forget to smash that like button if you were as shocked as we were, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping updates on the royal family. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a video, and check out our other videos for more exclusive insights. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.